Hey traders, welcome back to this video. Okay, in front of the whiteboard again, we're talking about what is the difference between a trading strategy and a trading system. They sound really similar, right? What is the difference? Okay, really great question. Generally speaking, people refer to them as similar things. It's my strategy, it's my system. I should add in here actually versus, let's add in here while we're at it, setup. What is the difference between the two? Now, the easy one, of course, is a setup. Now, a setup is something specific on the charts or on the tape, if you're tape reading, or fundamental, that will make you take the trade. In other words, let's use an example, breakout, right? We're in a range. I use this quite a lot because it's quite easy to draw on the board. The setup is that I buy a breakout here, and you might have other parameters into that, you might have other filters into that, but that's the setup. Okay. A strategy is going to be, listen, I have a strategy where I'm buying breakouts, I'm buying volatility expansion. It's a bit broader. Now, okay, this is just my take on it. Some people use these all exactly the same things. And generally speaking, someone says my setup, my strategy, my system, they're looking at the same things. There are little nuances, and I'm going to talk about what I think or how I talk about them, and perhaps you can comment below what you think the difference are. It just tends to be if you're reading books or if you're reading articles or blogs or listening to videos, watching videos, should I say, listening to podcasts, you know, how people define stuff. So a setup is something specific. Strategy is a bit broader. In other words, I would say I've got a strategy where I like to trade volatility expansion, or I like to trade breakouts, or I like to trade mean reversion. Okay, so if I'm trading a mean reversion strategy, then I may have some different setups that are bolted into that strategy. So, you know, I've got my strategy here, and then within that, I've got my setups that come within my strategy. You know, I've got setup 1, setup 2, setup 3, whatever it may be. That might be selling a double top. It might be, you know, selling a fake out at highs. It might be head and shoulders. Any of those kind of things, they would be my setups, but they would be in my mean reversion sort of strategy balloon, if you like, or ball. So for me, that's how I define it. You know, a setup is very granular, it's very micro. Strategy is a lot broader. Now, what about system? Well, system and strategy are very, very similar. However, for the way that I would, whenever someone says I've got a system, I always think it's very, very, there's no element for discretion there. You generally, when someone says, oh, I've got a trading system, I always think, okay, it's an algorithmic system where it's very, very, very robotic. In other words, there's no room for trader input, which is fine. There's some people work very well on that. I like a little bit of both, I like a system and then kind of a little bit of discretion with it. But personal preference, some people like one or the other, some people like a mix of the two. So system would be something like, hey, listen, if, you know, I'd always buy when the 5-period moving average crosses over the 20 period, right? That's my system. It's purely mechanical, and I always do it, and I sell if it comes down below. It's a system. There's no room for negotiation with it. You buy here, and then you've got other rules for the system to sell. If it goes in your favor, you've got rules for managing your risk and stop if it goes against you. So, and again, this is broad. Some people will say I've got a system which they use, and they use some discretion as well. But generally, yeah, I would say that systemization is far more automated. It's far more methodical. Not necessarily automated as in putting the trades in for you, but it's far more. There's less room for adjustment with it on the fly or little things. It's a case of this if this then that done. A setup might be this, but then you might add something else into it. Of course, system and setup can be the same. And a strategy for me is, okay, some people do say my strategy is that I use a moving average crossover strategy. Fine. But I would say a strategy for this is like, it's a trend following strategy. It's a trend following, my strategy is trend following. And one of the systems I've got that I use is a moving average crossover. And the setup is, I've got another setup which I use as a bull flag in a trend or whatever. So, Again, my take on it, just my thoughts, but it's a great question because sometimes people use it interchangeable, and I say they say got a strategy, got a system, got a setup. What do they mean? I guess the thing you've got to do is you've got to clarify with the person you're listening to or speaking to. What do you mean by that? Is it automated? Is it, you know, is some discretion into it? Is it a basket of strategies that you're using, or is it a basket of setups? You know, how are you defining that? And then it just becomes a bit more clearer. But if someone's talking about that, generally that's how I would imagine people are talking about that. What do you think about strategy versus system versus setup? Is it even that important? Maybe not, but it might be if you're trying to develop something and you want to avoid miscommunication with another trader, or you're getting something written out for automated signals or an indicator or whatever. It might just be clear to define exactly what you're going to do. So let me know your thoughts on that, guys. Let me comment strategy versus system versus setup. If you've got some specific rule for defining each of those, I would love to hear your thoughts. Take care, guys. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.